Hey troops, Roxy here and welcome to Roxee Plays Games and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. Before I get into today's video I want to do my usual thank you. So thank you for everyone who has liked my previous videos and thank you for everyone who has subscribed to the channel. As always, it is really appreciated. We are back in Kerbal Space Program, but there are some changes. Essentially, I have started all over again. I've got myself to roughly the same position as I was at the end of episode 2, but we're going to start off a whole new season. I'm going to save you the pain of going through all of the basic stuff that I did in season 1 and the magnitude of errors I was having in in episode 1 and the magnitude of errors I was having in episode 2 trying to get myself into space. We have forgone all of that. I have basically got myself to the point now where we can get ourselves into space and get ourselves into orbit. What have I done? Well, basically, I watched some videos and realised that I've been missing a whole load of things out, especially money in career mode, which is really important because in science, you don't have to worry about that. In science mode and in sandbox mode, you don't have to worry about money and a lot of other things. Whereas in career mode, you have to worry about everything. And I didn't realise this because the videos I've been watching prior to me starting these recordings was someone doing it in science mode. In career mode, you have mission control where you can do missions. I currently have these active ones here, so orbit Kerbin, escape the atmosphere, haul a TT-14 radial decoupler into flight, and it's got some constraints here. We need to be at altitude 23,000 to 28,000 at a speed of 330 to 950. Hopefully we can do that, but that's going to give us a bunch of money and some science, and also hauling a radial mount drogue. And that again, it's got some constraints: 1,000 to 9,000 meters, 200 to 390 meters per second. I have neglected this, although I did talk about it. I haven't really been focused on it. And what I didn't realize is if I was to escape the atmosphere and I didn't have the escape the atmosphere job, that job will then disappear. Again, if I orbit Kerbin and I don't have the orbit Kerbin job, that job will disappear and it won't come back. So I've actually done that, and I've done a bunch of jobs and missed out a load of things. So that's one reason why I've started again, because I just wanted to make sure I'm doing it properly this time and make sure I'm grabbing missions. And the second thing I've done, and if you look down at the icons, you probably already realised, I have added some mods in. So this season, season 1, episode 1, as this is now, and going forward, it is going to be mods. I haven't got an awful lot of mods. Some of them are graphical, some of them make the game run a little bit smoother, hopefully. And then I've got a couple to assist me with flight planning, but nothing too crazy. And there's loads of great mods out there. I don't know what's the best and what's not. I just basically watched a couple of videos and thought, oh, that looks okay, that looks okay, I'll add them in. I'm not going to do a tutorial or explain how these mods all work, but obviously you will get to see these mods as I go through. So what have I done so far? I have, like I said, I've tried to get myself roughly to the same point as I was before, but I have done some extra missions to get some extra money in to upgrade certain buildings. We have a level 2 launch pad. That means that we can have, instead of the 18 tons, we can have 140 tons. That's going to be helpful to go into space. We have got a level 2 vehicle assembly bay. Instead of having 30 parts, we can have 255. Again, that's going to help with going to space. I've upgraded the mission control so we can have up to 7 contracts running at any one time instead of 2. I have upgraded the astronaut complex so that we can perform EVAs outside of being on the ground. So anywhere that we are now, we can do EVAs. So in flight, in space, in orbit, whatever, we can do EVAs. I haven't touched the spaceplane hangar. I haven't even bothered with the administration building because I've got no idea how it all works. I need to learn it. The research and development, we don't need to upgrade that yet, but that's going to cost an awful lot of money, so that's going to be a little while off. I do, however, want to upgrade the tracking station, but that's going to cost me 150,000 Kerbal credits. And that's going to be really handy, but I can't do it yet. So we're going to do what we can now, and then that'll bring us in enough money to be able to upgrade that for the next episode. So without further ado, let's get ourselves into the vehicle hangar bay, and I'm going to show you. This is what we're going to be taking up, okay? And I'll quickly go through what we've got and how I've kind of come to this conclusion. Obviously, I've been doing a little bit of testing. So what do we have? Let me break this off here. So we've got our pod that we're going to be coming back down to Kerbin in. Let me just zoom in a little bit. This is what we're going to be coming back down to Kerbin in. We've got our safety chute here. We've got these radial mount drogues here that I need to do for the mission. This one here. Okay, so otherwise I probably wouldn't have them on, but I'll see. Actually, they might actually come in handy for when we come down to Earth, down to Kerbin, I should say, not to Earth. We got our science, or service base, sorry, and in here we've got all of our science. So if we go over to our science module, we've got our mystery goos in there. There's two types of mystery goos. There's new things in here that the mod added in. Some of them aren't functional, they don't do anything, they're just aesthetics. Some things look different now, so the thermometer and the barometer look a little bit different now. And there's extra things that do the same thing as other things. As an example, Science Junior, there's a square one and the original round one. Mystery Goo, there's the original one. There's this one here. If we put you there, and I open this up or deploy it, the mystery goo is inside. So that's really cool looking, but not very functional for what I want, because I want a few of them, and that would take up more space. I don't know if it's more weight, 0.1. Yeah, it is more weight as well, twice as heavy. And the experiment storage unit, I found out what this actually does, and basically it sucks all of the information that you get from your experiments into this. So essentially we could have everything, all of our science bits and pieces, somewhere else. We suck it all into here, and then we get rid of everything else, and that's all we come back with. We just come back with this. So essentially I don't even need the service bay. Thinking about it, we could get rid of this service bay, but I'm going to keep it just because it looks cool. So that is what we're coming back down to the planet with. Here is our rocket. So let me click this back on here. So what have we got? We've got 4 science juniors, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Underneath that we've got 2 fuel tanks with a swivel engine on. Then we have 4 thumpers, and we have 2 hammers. Now I've done a bit of testing, and this is actually, in my opinion, probably too much. And if we have a look down at our delta V at vacuum, we've actually got a delta V of 3800. We only need 3400. How do I know this? Well, another mod that I have got, and you don't need this mod, is the Kerbal Space Program delta V map. I googled, found an image, I saved it, and I thought, right, I can show you guys that image. And then watching the video, it turns out that there's a mod that you can put into your KSPpedia. So it's got all the information on everything. This is just basically just a Wikipedia within the game. But there's a mod that you can put into this, which is what I've done, called the Delta V map. And what this does is shows you, let me just move you over there. This shows you all your Delta V depending on where you want to go. So if I wanted to go to the Mun, as an example, I would need 3,400 Delta V to get to orbit 80 kilometers above Kerbin. Then I would need another 860 Delta V to intercept the Mun. Then I would need another 310 delta V to orbit the Mun at 14 kilometers. If I wanted to land, I would need another 580 delta V. And then if I wanted to come back, it's all reversed. So I need 580 to leave the planet. I would need 310 to capture the orbit of Kerbin. I wouldn't need the 860 to come back down to Kerbin, because once you've captured the orbit, if you get it right and you get the orbit so it's going into low atmosphere, then the speed is going to slow you down and then you're going to be able to land. So essentially you just add these numbers up. But obviously for today we are just going to orbit Kerbin. Now, although that probably sounded confusing, but when we go to the Mun, when we go to Minmus, when we go to other planets, I'll obviously explain that all again. But for now, we're just going to orbit Kerbin, and this little icon here, it's on the key here. So low orbit, 80 kilometers. We need 3,400. If I wanted to get into a geostationary orbit of 2,863.33 kilometers above Kerbin, I would need an extra 1,115 to give a total of 4,515 delta V. We only need 3,400 to get into a orbit around Kerbin. Ooh, that's a lot of information, and this confused me to craziness when I first started looking at that. However, we got 3,800. That's a lot. We don't need that much. So I'm actually going to take these off, and that's going to bring it down to 3,382. Let me get rid of these decouplers. 3,887. You know something? I think we can get away with that. If I was to take these off, oh yeah, take these off. These are all singly on. That's awkward. Right, they're all off. We got 3,407 delta V now. We only need 3,400. That's it all done. So let me get rid of all of these bits, because we don't need them. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, we have got our Kerbin orbiter. This is going to be Mark III. There has been a few attempts of me doing this without recording, just doing some testing. Now what I would really love if we had unlocked the support struts to make this more stable, but we haven't yet. We will get it unlocked for the next or after this mission. We'll have enough science to unlock it. But what's happening? We've got 4 engines. They are currently all firing at the same time, and then the next one. But if we have a look at our thrust to rate ratio, it's 2.79. That's a lot. We need to be, to stay stable, it needs to be 1. To start moving, it needs to be above 1. Ideally you want to be kind of like 1.5. 2.79, that's a lot. So we can do some minor tweaks here, and this is what we're going to do. We are going to put these separately. So I actually want to make some minor changes to the position of them now that we've got rid of the other engines. I'll put you there, and I'll put you there. And why is that in single mode? So I didn't want to just have the rocket ready and then kind of you guys go, what on earth have you done? I want to show you kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm going to put you there, and then click on you and put you here. So that's all fine. These two are going to fire first, which is these two here. So they're going to go down there. So those are going to fire first. That's now brought our delta V, or the delta V is still the same actually, isn't it? We want to decouple them and then fire these two. We're then going to decouple them and fire our swivel engine, and then when we're ready we can decouple that and come back down to Kerbin. That's now given us a total of 3,717. That's in vacuum, 3,000 at sea level. Let's adjust our thrust here. It's 1.16, perfect. Thrust here, 1.9. We could probably adjust that a little bit. Let's bring this down a touch to maybe 1.6. So, oh, it's already at 85. Wow. 70. Yeah, 1.6. I'm happy with that, I think. Obviously, I'm no expert at this by any means. Right, so we're going to be ending up in a vacuum here. So let's switch over to vacuum and see what this is at. 2.4, that's a little bit high. We can adjust that down. We're already at 70. Let's bring it down to 65. Yeah, 2.23. I'm okay with that. So it's progressive with the power going up. We've got more than enough delta V. We only need 3,400. We've got 3,700. So we've got some extra fuel to spare. Let's save you, and then let's launch and see whether we can get ourselves into orbit for our first attempt. I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie. Right, we can gather. This is another mod I've got on. Yes, I've got a few mods, but this one is fantastic. So before, what I would have to do is right click on here, open up, go on all of these different things and basically pin them up here. And having loads of these things here pinned up, as well as all of these as well, it's just it's messy. It takes up all your visual space and you can't see what's going on. The action groups are really good, because what you can do with the action groups is put everything on an action group. So you just press a number, but we haven't got that unlocked yet. And the basic action groups is really, really basic. You can't even do much with it. So I come across this mod, X Science it's called. So if you just type in Google KSP X Science, you'll get this mod. And what this does is it tells you when you have science available, and if it's grey, at the moment it's yellow. If it's grey, it means that it's available, but you don't have the equipment to gather that information. It's all been used up. If it's yellow, it means you can gather that information. If we just quickly do an EVA, so we've got an EVA report I can do, so I can click on that, but it's telling me that I'm not going to actually get anything. I don't think this is entirely necessary. So this actually isn't available, even though it says I can gather 2.4. We've gathered it all, so that's fine. So let's go back inside. Material study bait, so we've got 4 of them. Let's do one here. 7.5. It opens up and we can get 7.5 science. We could do another one for 1.6, and we could do a mystery goo for 0.7, but I'm going to save them for when we're higher up, because it's going to give us more science. So we're pretty much ready to go. We have got I haven't put a TT14 radial decoupler on, so I'm just going to hide that one out of the way. I could have put one on, but I forgot, if I'm completely honest, so I'll do that on my next mission. But we do have the Mark 12 radial. So the constraints for this, we've already got it on. We're in Kerbin. We need to be flying. So as soon as I hit launch, we'll be flying. But we need to be at an altitude of 1,000 to 9,000 meters and doing a speed of 200 to 390. That's going to be the tricky thing, because I have no control over the speed with the thumpers. If I was using a swivel, I could control the speed. So I have to hope and pray that this happens naturally. Escape the atmosphere, we'll do that once we reach 70,000 meters or 70 kilometers, and then obviously we're going to aim to do an orbit. Final checks of our staging. So 2 outside ones are going to go first. They're going to decouple. Then the 2 near side and far side are going to go. Then they're going to decouple. Then the swivel engine's going to go. Then we decouple that. Then we've got our radial drones here, which we're just hauling up, but we can use them if we need to, and our main chute to land. SAS is on. We've got Valentina the pilot to control the plane. This is going to wobble. We don't have any stability supports on this, so this is going to wobble. I can tell you that without even testing this, that I know that's going to happen, just because of the length of it. But here we go. 3, 2, 1, and launch. Got my thrusters up for my swivel engine at the ready, and let's see. At 50 meters per second, we want to start banking over to the right. We want to head east. The orbit at the moment is already at, well, it's at 175. We want to head east, so we're going with that orbit. So let's start banking over to the right. It's the easiest way of doing this. I don't know why we're twisting. A little bit awkward. Let's get this bank over, and ideally we want to be at this 90 number mark here, which is actually 45 degrees. We want to be there at 10,000 feet, and it looks like we're going to do this. We're well below 9,000, and our speed, there we go. So that one's done, so we can actually ignore that now, and I want to keep banking over. And oh, it's going out of control, going out of control. I want to get back on that 90 mark. So this mark here is where I'm pointing. The yellow mark is where I'm actually going. Let's keep leaning over. This isn't the prettiest thing here. Let's have a look at our upper axis. Upper axis at the moment is 18,000 and climbing. Let's get this back over again. It's not got the best control. And obviously, because Valentina is only, well, it's not even a level 1 pilot at the moment, I've got very little control nodules here that you do get in the science path. Right, let's decouple you. And now we're just trying to get this apoapsis up to about 80. We have got some stuff we can do on it, so we'll do that while we're moving. Still looking at this, I'm looking at this, clicking on these, and multitasking, guys. I'm multitasking. It's done. Right, let's cut the engines. Let's do a material study. So we've got about a third of the fuel left, but our upper axis is at 79. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to aim myself here, so I'm on the horizontal line here. So back over there, please. We'll do another material study, and we'll do another mystery goo. We're going to do an EVA. I'm just watching my altitude. I need to, when I get to about 65, 70, I'm going to start doing some maneuvers. So let's do an EVA. EVA report. Done. Let's collect the data from the crew report, and then we'll get back on board. Hit SES. And let's get ourselves lined back up here. And yeah, I'm not going to do the material study yet. I'm going to see whether we can get that a little bit higher. But essentially, we are now trying to keep this as close to this as we can. It's going to go up regardless, but we want to bring this to the same as this. So I'm going to hit the engines on. We're burning in this direction. If we have a look at the map, we can see we've got this curvature here, and it's just pushing it out now. And I want to get a nice arc around here. We can gather some more bits and pieces. Oh, guess what? We didn't have enough delta V. So me cutting that little bit off, I mean, I'm very close. Look at that. I'm so close. A little bit of errors here and there has messed it up. So we failed getting to orbit on our first flight. So let's revert flight, revert to assembly bay. I need those little engines on. I need them on. and hopefully got it saved on here. Mark II, wasn't it? Yep, there we go. There's the Mark II. So we can double check the staging. 2 outside ones are going to go. They're going to decouple. Then the hammers are going to go. Then they decouple. Then the swivel. Right. Cool. Let's look. See, I did a test earlier just to see what I needed. I had 6 thumpers on, and it was horrific. It was just way too much. So I changed it to the little ones, but I didn't do a test with the little ones. I thought, actually, looking at the Delta V, if we go to vacuum, I thought, it's too high. We don't need them. But it turns out that it wasn't high enough, because obviously I'm losing some of it in the at sea level. So let's launch. Try that one again. Obviously, realistically, you wouldn't revert back to flight. You would have just come back down and tried again. But for the sake of the YouTubes and the video, we're just doing it this way to save a bit of time. So SCS is on. I can't even affect this. I mean, it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. So we will see. And launch. Hopefully we still get this done. Right, let's start banking over to the right. I did that a little bit late. I wanted to do it at about 50. All good in the hood, I think. Doing little movements, tiny little movements to get it over. If you do it too much, you end up flipping. We've achieved our mission. Perfect. Trying to get down to 90 degrees if you can. A bit of rotation. Decouple. Right, let's have a look what our... I can't even cut the engines. So let's get this right over. I am way off here. I am going to be at about 10,000 million kilometers above where I want it to be. Right, let's not put on our engines for this stage. Right, so at the moment our apoapsis is at 122,000. It's not horrendous, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this flow. If we have a look at our map now, we can see that's where we are. We don't have the nodes to show you what's going on. That will be unlocked when I unlock the next thing. But essentially we're going up and we're coming back down. The apoapsis is this top point here, the highest point, and the periapsis is the lowest point, which we can't see right now. Let me just gather these bits of science while we can. Just gone into space. Yeah, so we can't see the periapsis. It's kind of in the planet at the moment. But what will happen is before we get to this top, if we then put our engines back on and start going in an apoapsis direction, it will push the periapsis out and it'll come out, and then once we've got it all the way out, it'll be a nice circle. The apoapsis will go up, but the idea is we want to get the periapsis the same as the apoapsis, or roughly the same, so that we're in a nice orbit. That's technically the plan. All I've got to do is try and do it. So I'm just gathering all this information that I can. Go back into map view and gather a bit of mystery goo. I can do an EVA report. That's given me 8 science. I can take the crew report data, get back on board. I can gather a little bit more, but I'm not going to, because I want to save them for a little bit higher. Right, what altitude are we at? 1100 sorry, 111,000, 112,000, 122,000 is the highest point we're going to get to. So I'm actually going to aim here. Oh, get our SAS back on. Aim here and put our thrusters on. And all I'm doing now is, that's going to go up. I can't control that from this position that I'm in now. But this is going up. And I want this roughly the same as this. And you can see now it's going out, and eventually it'll be a nice big circle. So when I get to about 50,000, I'm going to cut the engines and then put it on a slow speed. Because I don't want to waste fuel. So there we go, there's the flickage, as I call it. And we're almost there, but this at the moment is in the atmosphere, so that's no good. We need to get this over 70,000. That will then put us in an orbit. So we've achieved the goal for escaping the atmosphere. But to be in an orbit, this needs to be over 70,000. And if you watch there, 66, 67, 68, done. We're officially now in an orbit. It's not the best orbit by any means, but it works. It actually works. And to come back down, all we've got to do is just go the opposite direction. So at the moment, this is pushing it out. So this will just keep going up, and this will go up slowly. This will go up really fast. To come back down, ideally we want to come down by bringing this back down. And the best way to bring this back down is to be at the opposite end. So at the apoapsis. Now we can't see where the apoapsis is. I don't know why. I thought it would show the little tags. Maybe it's because I haven't got it unlocked. But essentially, the other way of looking at it is wait until we're at 100. Oh, what have I just dropped then? Wait until we're at 154,000 kilometers, or 154,000 meters. Sorry, 154 kilometers. Oh, I think a bit of. We can do you. Can do an EVA report. Get a bit more EVA-age done. That's board, and then we can do another EVA report. Because we just missed that one. Right, so what we at 135, 154. So when we're at 154, we're at the highest point. If we then, at the moment, that is to push it out. We want to push it in. So if I come down here to the opposite side, and this symbol here will bring us back down. So this now, when I hit this button, this number, the periapsis, will start coming down. Put SAS back on. So it actually stays there. Cool. So we could do it now. There's no reason why we don't need to do it now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed up time a little bit and just time warp until we're about 150,000. Cool, that will do there. We can do another EVA report. Let's grab that quickly and get back in board. Let's get ourselves pointing back here. And we've got a little bit of fuel left, so we need to make sure we're doing this the right way. So rather than putting it on full blast, I'm going to do a little nudge and make sure that this number comes down. There we go, it's coming down. I don't know, we'll get it down to about 25,000. Well into the atmosphere. This is coming down as well. And then that's just coming back in. So let's get it down to about 25. There we go. Have a look at the map now. So that's where we are. We're almost at the highest point. And then we will then start coming back down, and then when we hit 70,000, wherever that may be, we're going to hit the atmosphere. That's going to slow us down, and then we're going to come back down. So although it's circling around, we won't physically go around like that and come back in and go around, come back in, because we're going to hit the atmosphere. The atmosphere is going to slow us down, and this point here, the lowest point, 25,000.8, or 25,000 kilometers, I should say, will start coming in and coming in and coming in, and then it will at some point intercept the actual planet's surface, and we will land. That is how it works. I haven't shown you the best way of doing it. We can do an EVA report. Quick. EVA. Done. So basically, what's happening is... another one. Oh, I missed it. We're going over certain biomes on the planet. So you've got lowlands, highlands, this land, that land. All these different names for the different biomes on the planet, and as you go over those areas, you can gather information. So like we gathered information from the flight pad, you can gather information from the crawlerway, from all the different buildings. You've got all of the different biomes as well that you can gather all the different information from, and obviously there's lots of them as we're going to go around, and then the same with the planet, with the moon as well. We've got lots of information that we can gather from the moon, as well as Minmus, and as well as all the other planets that we can eventually head to, which is going to get more and more complicated the further that we go. Right, so I technically don't need any of this stuff here now. We're done with that. We're coming back down to the planet. We will eventually hit the planet, because obviously, like I said, we're going to slow down. So what I want to do is I want to detach all of this so that we've got less weight coming in. However, we've got all of this science that we want to gather, haven't we? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into here. I'm going to open this up. Actually, let's close you down because we don't need you anymore. And then if we click on our experiment storage unit, we can collect all data. And that will take all the data that we have collected and store it in here. It does say not all items could be stored, but we've got a majority of the stuff. I don't know if this got a capacity. Review stored data. Oh, it does. No, that's just what it's storing. So we've got all the different things. So it's got 10 things it can store. I guess 10's the maximum. I need to keep all of them. I don't know how much we actually collected, to be honest, but irrelevant. What we can do now is we can detach this. Now there's a couple of things to think about when you're detaching stuff. One, what way is it going to go? Two, is it going to collide with you, or are you going to collide with it? And three, is it going to burn up in the atmosphere, or is it going to stay in orbit? Now if we was in orbit and I detached it, it would stay in orbit for forever, basically, and then we'd end up with all this space junk. We don't want that. Thankfully, we're not in an orbit now. We're actually coming back down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maneuver to put SAS back on. I'm going to maneuver this here, so it's pointing directly down to the planet. Oh no, so I'm facing up, but if I'm facing up, this is facing back directly down to the planet, and then I'm going to decouple it. So I'm basically pushing it down, not too much, but obviously a little bit. I'm then going to turn retrograde, which is this little icon here, and essentially I'm now pointing in the direction, or I've got the heat shield pointing in the direction that I am traveling, and that's it. I can just sit back, relax, and wait to come down. It's going to take a while. We're quite high up. So to speed it up, let's speed up time. I'm not bothered. Oh, Eva Report. Let's grab you. Because that's a nice chunk of science. Then we'll put SAS back on. Get ourselves back to where we want to be, which is about there. And then speed time back up again. See, I wouldn't know about all these different areas that I could collect science without this. You know, you just have to guess, don't you? But this is just brilliant. I mean, I know I could collect this tiny bit of mystery goo. Matter of fact, let's just do it. Might as well. Got them available. Let's speed up time a touch. Now the thing with speeding up time, if you go too fast and the game doesn't catch up with it, you can actually crash, as in like crash into the ground without wanting to. So just be aware of that. And you can't maneuver when you're speeding as well. So you have to kind of do some adjustments. And then you can speed time back up again. And then there we go. We're back into the atmosphere. We can gather some science, mystery goo, temperature. We can do an EVA. Let's take data from the crew report, get back in, and then we can do another crew report. And it's saying that we could get a mystery goo for 2.1, but we don't have any available mystery goos left. That's why it's greyed out like that, rather than it being yellow. So here we are. There's our rest of our spaceship that we had. Oh, little movements, please. Little movements, little movements. Oh, SES isn't on. That's why it's going so crazy. Fantastic, and that's it, guys. That is us got ourselves into orbit. So we've completed 3 missions there. We've hauled the radial mount drogue chute above Kerbin. We escaped the atmosphere, and we also orbited Kerbin, all in one go. It did take us 2 attempts because I made a little bit of a boo-boo with my Delta V, but it just goes to prove that Delta V map is very, very useful. I was under and I didn't make it into orbit. I needed that extra little bit to make sure that it was working. Right, now what I've been told, and I don't know how true this is this will point naturally in the most aerodynamic position. If I was to flick this end around, which I'm not going to, obviously, it'll be like a bullet and I wouldn't be able to flick it back. But if I'm in this position, I can actually take off SES and it should naturally point in the most aerodynamic position without me having to touch anything. So hands are off. I know you can't actually physically see my hands, but my hands are off the controls, and it is just going in a direction that is most aerodynamic for this position. If I flipped it around, or if you was to accidentally flip this around, and I don't know what those explosions are, but yeah, if you was to flip it around, I would be going too fast and it would get to the point where I wouldn't be able to slow down enough to land on the ground safely. It would be just literally just like traveling like a bullet. So there's our ablator slowly coming down, and basically what this does is it just absorbs the heat and breaks off. So I don't know if that's what that noise is, but either way that looks pretty cool. Let's have a look at what it would be like for him. Okay, not too bad. See a few little bits of flames. See where we're travelling. Our speed there, 2,000 meters per second, and coming down. I'm not sure what that. Oh, that must be the altitude. Is that the altitude? So we are Let's have a quick look outside. 30,000, yep. So that's in thousands of meters. Cool, so some of the stuff in here works. Don't know if that's actually working or not. Right, coming down, let's speed up a little bit. Don't want to be going too fast when we're coming in, in case I blow myself up. There we go, we're getting to the point now where we're going to not have as much friction on the air or the atmosphere, which is causing all of that fire. But we can do a temperature scan. Get my mouse, that would be nice. Thank you. So we've gathered quite a lot of science on this journey today. Right, let's deploy our drogue chutes. Might as well, we got them. We don't need them, but that will just slow us down a touch more. We are unfortunately going to be in the middle of the sea with no land in sight. Might be some land over there I can see in the distance. I'm not quite sure. It might be the horizon. Yeah, we don't need these drogue chutes, but might as well use them as we have them. So I wonder how much science we've actually gathered, and obviously we would have gained some money as well from doing those missions. So I'm excited to see just how much we've gathered from this. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a little bit more practice, because obviously practice makes perfect, as they say, or good practice makes perfect, on my orbiting and bits and pieces like that, and then I'm going to start getting ready for us going to the Mun, because that's where we want to go to next. Right, so these drone shoots aren't going to get me to the recommended speed, so let's open up our main chute, which is kind of tucked there in the middle. So we want to be below 10 meters per second when we land, otherwise it could be a little bit too hard and things break. But this one will open in a second. 3, 2, 1 and open, or deploy. And yeah, I know it doesn't quite look right, but it does the job. And there we go, we're below 10 meters per second. I'm just going to speed time up until we're in the sea. And we might be, I don't know if we can do a crew report and EVA in the sea. I'm not sure whether where we did it near the coast, whether that actually counts, if the whole of the sea is classed as one area or not. Okay, this altitude down. I do like having this speed thing. It's not, you know, ridiculous, but obviously for the purpose of videos, it can save valuable time. If I was, when I'm playing on my own, I don't even bother with all of that sort of stuff. And there we go, we are splashed down, and we can do an atmospheric pressure scan. We can do a temperature. Unfortunately we can't do a mystery goo because we don't have any mystery goos available, and yeah, we've done an EVA, so we can't get any more of that. So let's get back on board and let's recover vessel. Right guys, before I do recover, have a little guess. How much science do you think we have gathered? Now obviously I know you can watch it and then know and then write the answer down if you want to, but just have a little guess. Say in your head, what do you think we've gathered? I'm going to go for 70. I'm going to guess 70. Oh, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Don't crash. What? 173.1? Are you kidding me? Wow. I didn't think it would be quite so much. Crikey, Batman. That is amazing. Fantabadozy. So we've now got a total of 238 science. We can unlock some great stuff there. We've got 4,000 funds back from recovered parts. So although we spent a little bit getting it done, we got some money back. We didn't get any reputation. However, Jebediah is now a level 1 astronaut. So he will have some extra bits and pieces that he can do, which is going to be good. And we've got 365,000 credits now from doing our jobs as well. So that is a successful... Oh, that looks really cool. It didn't look like this. I mean, I need to go and watch back my episode 1 and 2. But it didn't look like this before. This is the mod called Eve, which makes things look better. And it does make things look better, for sure. Right. First thing first, research and development. We have got some unlocks. So we want to come down here. Ideally, you want to do as much sciencey stuff as you can. Because then that's going to unlock more things to gather science. So then you're going to get more science points to then unlock more stuff. Imagine if you didn't unlock all of these and you only had like the barometer and the thermometer. And that's all, or the mystery goo and the thermometer, and you tried unlocking all of these, you're going to get to a point where it's just going to take forever. Whereas spending a bit of time unlocking the science means you're going to have more science points coming in every time you do something. Hope that makes sense. Right, we can't unlock this row here because this requires over 100 science at this level in the research technology. We haven't unlocked that. That's going to cost over 400,000, so that'll be a way off. But we can do everything in this row and this row for now. So let's have a look what we've got here. Electrics is going to give us electrical bits. Probodobodyne. I love saying that word. Probodobodyne. It's like it's for controlling your shuttles or spaceships or whatever without having a crew. So that'll be quite handy. Solar panels, we're going to definitely want them. Bigger batteries, we're going to want them. Lights, they might come in handy. So this is okay, but not the best thing. This is just miniaturization stuff. I don't even know what that's about. This will be handy. I'm not sure what that does. Is that a bigger version of the one that we've already got? I'm not quite sure. But having these steps is basically what they are. So you can put them on the side of your shuttle. So if you have extra bits on there and you land somewhere and you want to do an EVA, you can get out and get back in again. So that's kind of handy. But let's have a look over here. I want this one. This is the support structure I was on about earlier. We want that. Cabin crew, that'll be handy, so we can take more people up, so they can gather, so they can gain experience points rather than just one person at a time. We can get a few people. They will be handy. So we'll definitely want that. Advanced rocketry. What's this going to give me? Terrier engine. We want the Terrier engine for orbits and stuff like that. That's the best one from what I've heard that I can unlock at the moment. So let's unlock you. That leaves me 148. Flight control is going to give me some better flight control winglets and a reaction wheel. So that will help with turning without using engines. That is a really handy thing to have. So let's unlock you. That leaves me 100. I'm not really too fussed about this. I mean, this would be handy to make a vehicle to travel around on the ground and do a load of unlocking stuff, but I'm not really fussed about that. I mean, I can gather quite a bit of science from the ground around the launch site and stuff like that. But let's have a look what else we got. Heavy rocketry, propulsion systems, fuel systems. Now this is brilliant. Having this here, the external fuel ducts, is something that we definitely want and maybe even want for our next mission. So that is going to be our number one at the moment. Advanced construction. Okay. aerodynamic stuff. This is going to be needed for when we start landing on the moon and stuff like that. I say the moon, the moon. I'm going to call it the moon. Having these landing struts is going to be handy. So that's going to be number 2, I think, in our wanted stuff. Advanced control. This is going to be really handy for when we're doing recovery missions and stuff like that. Not really required just this second, but I'm going to say number 3 or 4. That could be number 3. So number 1 was this here, fuel systems. Let's unlock research or research that. Fantastic. I've got everything I need to go to the Mun. Not to land on the Mun, although technically I could, but I wouldn't want to land without the landing struts. But technically we've got enough to land on the moon, but we're going to just go for an orbit. So our next episode, episode 2 of our career modded mode, we are going to orbit the Mun and come back. Oh, we're going to try anyway. That is the plan. I'm going to get some practice in and find out what I actually need. Maybe do a little bit more, a few more missions, get a bit more money in. Not that I actually need it, I don't think. Let's come out of here, because we can upgrade our tracking station now. Upgrade. So that's going to give me those little bits that I needed that I couldn't show you because we didn't have. That's done, that's done. We can't do that yet. That's done, and that's done. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to, or ever need to do them. I will need to do that at some point, and the runway as well at some point. But right now, they're kind of bottom of my list of things to do. Guys, girls, we're done for this episode, and it's been a successful one. Although it did take me 2 attempts to get into orbit because I messed up the first, excuse me, the first one. But it just goes to prove the Delta V map, which is in the Wikipedia now, because I've downloaded it. But you can get this Delta V map. You can get a picture of it on Google. Just Google KSP Delta V map, and you will get loads of different variations of this, black and white and colour. But it just goes to prove 3,400. I was under that. I didn't get into orbit. I may have been able to kind of do some better manoeuvring to get myself, but I still don't think it would have worked. Having 6 of the thumpers when I did my testing was way too much. It was way too much, and I was at like over 200,000 kilometers in the orbit. So having taken two of the thumpers off and replacing with hammers was about right. I still had a little bit of Delta V left over, but it worked out fine. So we're going to call it an end of an episode, guys. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please do hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when new videos come out. Stay safe, everyone, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.